There are millions of Africans who have never used the internet. The internet in Africa has a lower penetration rate when compared to the rest of the world. Internet penetration is the portion of the population that has access to the internet, which is measured by the percentage of internet users in any country. Measurable parameters such as the number of internet service provider subscriptions, the overall number of hosts, and internet exchange spot traffic are indicators that Africa is far behind the digital divide. Africa has indeed made significant efforts over the years to connect more of its people to the internet. The continent is said to have recorded the most growth in connectivity efforts and still has a lot of potential for progress. However, large swaths of the continent remain unconnected. In today's video, we will take a quick look at the 15 countries with the lowest internet penetration in Africa. Let's begin. 15. Ethiopia. Ethiopia has an internet penetration rate of 25% and has 29.9 million internet users. As a result, according to this data, 75% of Ethiopia's population was offline at the start of 2023, which indicates that 89.5 million individuals did not utilize the internet at that time. Ethiopia is currently attempting a broad expansion of access throughout the country. These efforts have been hampered by the largely rural makeup of the Ethiopian population and the government's refusal to permit any privatization of the telecommunications market. The state-owned Ethio Telecom, previously known as Ethiopian Telecommunications Corporation, is the sole internet service provider in the country. Ethio Telecom comes in at very high prices, which makes it difficult for private users to purchase it. 14. Mozambique. Mozambique is a country located in southeastern Africa. Its internet penetration rate is 23.1% of the total population. The percentage of people who have internet access has more than doubled from 15 to 32% between 2015 to 2023. Despite this impressive achievement, this means that more than 2/3 of Mozambicans still do not have access to the internet and are therefore excluded from the digital world. Among the unconnected, almost 3/4 say they can't afford internet services or internet-connected devices like smartphones and computers. Some of the internet service providers in Mozambique include Vodacom, Teledata, and Central Methodist University. 1/3 of the population lives in rural areas without any mobile broadband signal, unable to connect at any price. And 1/3 of mobile phone users lack the skills to use the internet on their devices. 13. Guinea. Guinea is a coastal country in West Africa. Only 2.9 million of its 13 million residents use the internet, according to research, meaning that internet penetration is very low, reaching just 23% of the population. Telecommunications in Guinea include radio, television, fixed and mobile radio, and the internet. The people of Guinea are among the poorest in West Africa, and this reality is reflected in the development of the country's telecommunications environment. There are 3 internet service providers in Guinea, which are Afroborn Guinea, Alink Telecom, and ETI. Radio is the most important source of information for the public in Guinea and the only one to reach the entire country. There is a single government-owned radio network, a growing number of private radio stations, and 1 government television station. 12. Madagascar. Madagascar is an island country in the Indian Ocean, and it is the world's 2nd largest island country after Indonesia. The nation is home to around 30 million inhabitants. Madagascar's internet penetration rate stands at 22.3% of the total population. As a result, 22.5 million people in Madagascar did not use the internet at the start of 2023. This means that 77.7% of the population does not have access to the internet. There are 4 internet service providers in Madagascar, which are Blue Line, Data Telecom Service, NetClub, and Orange Madagascar. Widespread poverty and illiteracy severely limit the penetration of television, print media, and the internet, making radio by far the most important communication medium in the country. 11. Liberia. Liberia is a country on the West African coast. It has a population of around 5 million and total internet users of about 1.15 million people. Much of Liberia's communications infrastructure was destroyed or plundered during the two civil wars, 1989 to 1996 and 1999 to 2003. With low rates of adult literacy and high poverty rates, television and newspaper use are limited, leaving radio as the predominant means of communicating with the public. Liberia currently has a 22% internet penetration rate. Some of the main internet service providers in Liberia include Lone Star Communications Corporation, Orange Liberia, and Winners Incorporated. 10. Malawi. Malawi is a landlocked country in southeastern Africa that was formerly known as Nyasaland. It has an estimated population of 19 million people. Its internet penetration is 20.2%, a total of 4.3 million internet users in 2023. There are 5 internet service providers in Malawi, which are Burco Electronic System, Computer Automation, Globe Internet, MalawiNet, and Skyband. The government of Malawi does not systematically filter or block internet content. To stop protests, the government has nonetheless occasionally limited access to social media and news websites. Internet access is also limited by high costs and a lack of infrastructure. 9. Chad. Chad is a landlocked country at the crossroads of North and Central Africa. Chad has a population of 16 million, of which 1.6 million live in the capital and largest city of N'Djamena. Internet service providers in Chad include Prestabist, Inet Telecom, Airtel Chad, and Millicom Chad. The country's internet penetration rate stood at 19% of the total population at the start of 2023. Research shows that internet users in Chad increased by 390,000 or 13.6% between 2021 and 2023. 8. The Democratic Republic of Congo. The Democratic Republic of Congo is in Central Africa, with a population of around 108 million people. As of January 2023, there were 16.5 million internet users in the country. The internet penetration rate stood at 17.6% of the total population at the start of 2023. As a result, 82.4% of the Congo's population, or 77.3 million people, are still without access to the internet. The main internet service providers in the country are Celtel, Smile Communication, and Orange. Are you enjoying this video? Then like and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Do not forget to turn on notifications so you get notified when we upload interesting videos like this. Let's get back in. 7. Burundi. Burundi is a landlocked country in the Great Rift Valley at the junction between the African Great Lakes region and East Africa. Burundi remains one of the poorest and least developed countries in the world. It has one of the lowest income rates in Africa. Burundi remains primarily a rural society, with just 14.4% of the population living in urban areas. Internet, smartphones, and computers are expensive, reasons why many Burundians do not have access to the internet. The main internet service provider in Burundi is the CBInet. Burundi has 14.6% internet penetration, meaning only 1.8 million of the country's 12.4 million inhabitants use the internet. 6. Niger. Niger, officially the Republic of Niger, is a landlocked country in West Africa. It has a population of about 25 million. They are one of the largest countries in West Africa and also one of the poorest. A lack of fixed telecoms infrastructure has led to growth in mobile services. Niger's mobile penetration is modest compared to other countries in the region, while fixed broadband penetration is negligible. Some of the internet service providers in Niger include Link Telecom, Orange, and IXCOM. On January 2023, there were 3.7 million internet users in Niger, and the country's internet penetration rate stood at 14.5% of the total population at the start of 2023. 5. Somalia. Somalia, officially the Federal Republic of Somalia, is a country in the Horn of Africa. Somalia has an estimated population of around 17.1 million and a total of 2.3 million internet users. Following the end of the country's long civil war, a slew of new telecommunications companies sprouted up to compete for the country's missing infrastructure. Somalia now offers some of the most technologically advanced and competitively priced telecommunications and internet services in the world. Somalia's internet penetration rate stands at 13.7% of the total population. Some of the main internet service providers include Amtel, Hormud, Sumtel, and Telazam. 4. South Sudan. South Sudan, officially the Republic of South Sudan, is a landlocked country in Central Africa. Its population is estimated at 12 million people. South Sudan's internet penetration rate stood at 10.9% of the total population as of January 2023, with nearly 80% of the population residing in rural areas with extremely limited access to the internet or mobile services. This means 89.1% or 10.2 million people do not have access to internet services in this country. Despite the obstacles of the pandemic, the development of technology in South Sudan is still underway. In the past, the only way to access the internet was through very expensive satellite-based and mobile phone providers. However, they have been working since 2018 to lower the price of communication by extending its fiber optics infrastructure. Some of the internet service providers include MTN, Telecom 4G, Juba Network, and Supernet. 3. Comoros. Comoros is a volcanic archipelago off Africa's east coast, in the warm Indian Ocean waters of the Mozambique Channel. Comoros is the fourth smallest African nation by area. Its population is estimated at 918,000 residents as of 2023. The number of internet users in Comoros increased by 1,604 users, or 2.2%, between 2020 and 2021. Internet penetration here stood at 8.5% on January 2023. Chronic instability has constrained Comoros' socioeconomic development, the reason why Comoros remains among the poorest country in the world. Their main internet service provider is Comoros Telecom. 2. Eritrea. Eritrea is a northeast African country on the Red Sea coast. It shares borders with Ethiopia, Sudan, and Djibouti. As of January 2023, the population of Eritrea was approximately 3.6 million people. In Eritrea, the internet service is very slow. There are 5 or 6 internet cafes in the capital city. It isn't allowed to have internet access in your home, so even if they want, they can't afford it. The main internet service providers in Eritrea include the Ethiopian Telecommunication Corporation, Airtel, and Avast Software. Eritrea's internet penetration rate stood at 8% of the total population at the start of 2023. Eritrea is lagging in the expansion of broadband internet connections, and around 1% of all residents have access to the internet. 1. Central African Republic. The Central African Republic is a landlocked country in Central Africa. It has an estimated population of around 5.5 million inhabitants. Only 655,000 people use the internet in the country. The Central African Republic's internet penetration rate stood at 7.1% of the total population at the start of 2023. This is the lowest internet access rate on the continent and one of the lowest in the world. In the Central African Republic, there is little to no technological infrastructure to provide decent internet access to the citizens of the country. Access to smartphones and computers are virtually non-existent for the majority of the population. The country is one of the poorest nations in the world, and the majority of the population resides in rural areas virtually hidden from the digital world. Research shows that internet users in the Central African Republic increased by 61,000 or 20.8% between 2021 and 2022. Internet penetration study shows that 4.61 million people in the Central African Republic do not have access to the internet in 2023. This means that 92.9% of the population remained offline at the beginning of the year. They have 3 internet service providers, which are Orange K, Telecel Centrafrique, and Intelsat Global Service Corporation. Over the last 8 years, the number of people connected to the internet in Africa has doubled to 28% thanks to increased broadband internet coverage and smartphone penetration. However, over 500 million people in regions with mobile broadband networks remain unconnected due to the high cost of data, according to research. This is likely to change as tech titans like Google, Meta, and Starlink invest heavily in infrastructure to bring what they say will be cheap and fast internet to Africa. Once the technology barrier is breached in providing initial basic internet access and evolving into a faster and larger network, we can expect to see a dramatic increase in the global digital population. And as that growth in internet access happens, particularly among Africa's younger demographic, it will power economic growth and create new markets. We have come to the end of this video. Did you enjoy it? What do you think about internet access in Africa? We'll love to hear from you in the comments section. Do not forget to like and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too, so you get notified when we upload interesting content like this. Thanks, and see you in our next video.